Hey guys, welcome to the Jolius podcast. I'm here with my really good friend Hannah Hunt.
Hey, hi guys. It's great to be here. Great to see you, Jolius.
Yeah, thank you. So, where are you at, Hannah? This is a very lovely background you got going on right now.
If you'll notice, I have the John Hancock building back here. I am in Chicago, so I'm in my apartment right now. Welcome to the executive suite.
Thank you for having me. I feel like I'm back in that show Suits. I don't know if you watched it.
No, I didn't watch too much Suits, but hey, I'm living it right now, aren't I?
I'm pretty sure that you're not a lawyer, even though you.
No, so I'm not a lawyer, but I did go to school here in Chicago. I went to Columbia. So I got a degree in marketing and design. And so that is just where I've headed with my life after that. Entrepreneurship, and I moved to Vegas, and then I moved back here to Chicago, just pursuing wherever life takes me. It's nice to freelance, to be honest.
You're in marketing, as you
Mhm.
said, you're a freelancer. You get to be your own boss, babe life.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I love being my own boss because I kind of get to make my own schedules. I get to just keep everything up to intuition and I like to just free flow through my day. So if I want to wake up at a certain time, I can always stay up later and finish my work later. But I just love to do anything creative, anything inspired, anything fun, to be honest.
Within your profession, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, within my profession as well. So like you said, I do a lot of things. I do set design. That's one of the things I got a degree for. So that means I could work on film sets, which isn't really my thing as much. The film industry is really, really difficult. It's not paying very well. Hopefully that'll turn around after this. But I love to do more so photo shoots. I love to create cool backdrops. As you can see, I have this as my backdrop right now. I couldn't just put myself up against a wall. That's boring. So creatively, I design, I draw, I paint, I write. I try to do as much as I can and then turn those passions into something I can pursue and make money off of. It's the easiest way.
That's very awesome, Hannah. You're a multifaceted person. You're into the arts. You're into business and entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
As you said, you can draw, really?
I can draw. Yeah, I can draw.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Anything else in the arts that you can do? Or do you do like modeling mostly? Because you said you were in Vegas, so what was
Yeah.
your life experience over there? What did you do?
Oh my gosh, Vegas was so much fun. I went there just kind of on a whim. Like I said, I work from home. I do a lot of digital art and I do a lot of digital designing for companies and things. So I love to just freelance and draw, design, and part of their marketing. I like to go in and tell them what they could fix, what they could do better, how they could reposition themselves. But it's nice to just be home. I decided to just pick up and go to Vegas and meet new people, feel nicer weather than, here. And it was amazing. I mean, I got into a really cool group of people who were, you know, photographers, models, and I kind of found my way in there between being a model and doing photo shoots to also like designing sets and doing cool things like that and just getting involved in the creative arts with really amazing open-minded people.
That's really dope because a lot of people that move to Vegas can't really find their way or community just to interact and figure out what is your place within Vegas. Like how are you going to contribute, whether for yourself or for other people, just to give content or to like even participate in anything?
Yeah, for sure. Vegas is kind of a hard spot to fit in, especially if you don't really know yourself. It's really hard to get thrown into a group of people. A lot of people in Vegas are very outgoing, confident, party people, but at the same time, very mysterious and quiet. So it's really weird to be in that middle zone all the time with people. Everybody's kind of an acquaintance or even people you hang out with a lot. You're not sure you know much about them, and everybody's always in Vegas to travel. So if you meet somebody, it's not likely that they're going to stay for very long.
As you said, you got to be outgoing with your appearance and your personality. What you got? What are you wearing right now? What is that?
What am I wearing right now?
Yeah,
Oh,
what's
that's
this
a
outfit?
wonderful question. So I love this. This is kind of a 2000s feel, and it's like a little hoodie, and then I have this, which is repurposed lingerie. A company accidentally sent me two of the same outfit, and it had like a whole skirt and garter on it, and so I honestly just trimmed off all the bottom half of it, and I figured I can just wear it as like a cute summer top. Um, just repurposing.
I was surprised. I'm like, this looks very creative, because not a lot of girls have the confidence just to wear certain type of clothing, certain type of styles. They want to go for the bland look, just relax. Oh, who's that?
This is Coda. She's coming in to say hi. She's getting our podcast. Do you have something you want to say? Thank you. I guess she's gonna be in on our convo today.
Yeah, I'm down. She's a very adorable mixed breed. I'm not gonna lie, because what was it called, keto or?
Akita. So she's Husky
Okay.
and Akita. And so Akitas are, well, there's two kinds. There's an American Akita, and then they have Japanese Akitas, which are more of like a tan color. They kind of look like a bigger Shiba Inu almost. So she's half American Akita, but those dogs are known for hunting bears. So
Hmm.
I
You
know
learn
that if
something new
I
every
ever
day.
lost her in the wild, she'd be
Hmm.
coming back. She'd be coming back leading the pack.
Any reason that you got her? Like
Um,
lonely
oh
or?
my goodness. Well, my husband found her on a pet site,
Mhm.
and the story, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful story. He found a picture of her sister actually, and her sister had two different color eyes, where she has fully blue eyes. And we were just looking at the photo because it was in like a really dirty, dusty backyard. And we're looking at the photo because we're like, that dog is so cute. But we were zooming in trying to see if it was missing an eye because
Hmm.
one was brown and one was blue. So with the dark face, so with the dark face, it was kind of hard to tell. But then we found out that they had a couple puppies there. So we wanted to meet all the puppies, and she was just the star. Vegas, it was really cool meeting people. It was really cool getting out. Work was amazing. Everybody there is very creative, very interesting, and everyone's got like a really cool story. What I noticed about Vegas locals, specifically Vegas locals and people who grew up there, is they were like a little bit crazy. They were a little bit reckless and crazy. It was very interesting to see. You could always kind of tell just a little bit who lives there and who doesn't. It's like who has been exposed to Vegas for too long? Who has gotten the toxicity leached into them?
Yeah, that's
God.
definitely one way of putting it.
Yeah. I think it's just so hard for people living there because everybody eventually moves on. I think that's the way it is. Everybody eventually moves on. It's transient. It's a little bit of a mysterious spot. It's hard to date. It's really hard to date out there. I'll be
Mhm.
honest. Um, Everybody I talked to was either single or having relationship problems, or it just didn't seem like it was working. It didn't seem like it was working for anybody, and that's really unfortunate. And now that I've come back to Chicago, I mean, I'm noticing it's just everywhere. Everybody's kind of moving away from the way we used to date for a lot of reasons.
Do you mean like compared to like modern dating versus traditional dating type of aspect?
Yeah, I would say modern day versus traditional, but also just the narratives that people are putting around dating are a lot different. So, for example, everybody you talk to will say, "Oh, it's a hookup culture. We're in hookup culture. Nobody cares for relationships anymore. Nobody really has that romantic sense to them like they used to." But the problem with this is that everybody says that they think it's a hookup culture. Everybody wants to just fuck and that's it. Everybody just wants, physicality. That's it. And Psychologists have found that a lot of singles, the majority of singles, are looking for a relationship and are looking to date and have that closeness with somebody, but they're not able to do that because on the return, everybody's perceiving that everybody else in the dating group just wants to hook up. So you have like a lot of miscommunication going on between men and women, and there's like a huge discourse going on because of it. Everybody's angry at each other. Everybody's blaming each other. And I feel like that's a big problem.
Hmm. Do you have this cited source study of this or?
But it's from the Sex and Psychology podcast by Justin Lay Miller,
Mhm.
and he's really amazing. He has guests on every week, and it's just like a deep dive into actually psychology and sociology behind what's going on, whether it's hookups or dating or different kinds of relationships. It's just really interesting to see. But being in the hookup culture that we're in, it's kind of the idea that you're not going to achieve a relationship unless you put out or unless you guys hook up first.
Can you restate or resimplify what the study was about?
Oh, okay. But basically it's just the idea that every interaction that you're pursuing has to end up in a hookup or else you're not going to ever have a relationship with that person. It's kind of the idea that sex is a prerequisite to a relationship, which personally I think that's fine. I don't think there's a problem with that. I don't really think that there is. I think the problem is starting when women are feeling like that's all they have to do. They just have to put out, and then they're not getting the results they want. Where people are getting the idea that, okay, so men are gatekeeping right now. Men are gatekeeping the relationship in heteronormative relationships, I'm saying. They're gatekeeping an actual secure relationship, whereas women are the gatekeepers of sex. Women are keeping it locked down and they're saying, okay, so but when both sides are keeping everything locked down in that sense, we both want something from each other, but we're not willing to give it, right? It gets a little fuzzy when you're fighting back and forth, and it's like we both want similar things, but I'm not sure that I'm willing to give it to you.
Yes, yes, exactly. It's mostly like a cat and mouse, which one strikes first so they can, receive on their end and basically get what they want. And then, as you said, sometimes it gets a little toxic, sometimes it works out, as in it's a give and take, basically. And then it becomes more of a transactional relationship when it's in that type of perspective.
Yeah, and so you're seeing a lot of transactional relationships right now. It's amazing you bring that up. I mean, there's lots of sugar daddy, sugar baby relationships going on. And one thing that I'll say about that that I've noticed, knowing a lot of women in OnlyFans and knowing a lot of people who are sex workers and being within that industry, I see people who aren't having hope anymore. They're kind of people in sugar daddy, sugar baby relationships need to be a little bit careful because what I'm seeing happen a lot is there's a lot of promises up front. The man is really interested in a younger girl. He wants her, he wants to keep her. And then it ends up being fine for a while and she's getting what she wants. And of course, a relationship forms. They're going to have a relationship that is a true relationship for the most part. And the issue where it can go wrong is that these young women sometimes are getting manipulated into thinking they're going to be provided everything, given everything. You don't need to work anymore. I've got you. You don't, stay at home and just, if you could just help me out with some laundry, some dishes, perfect. I've got you financially. You don't have to pay rent. You don't have to pay for your own groceries. You don't have to pay for your hair, your clothes, your nails. But you're going to live with me. You're going to do my laundry. You're going to clean my house. And you're not going to leave. And that's the way it is. And then slowly the things that the woman is getting is just less and less and less until there's no more financial given to her. Turns into indentured servitude. It's horrible. I've seen so many people go through it, and it's the dark side of sugar babying,
Mhm.
truly, the dark side.
Yeah.
Too many women are vulnerable. They are given ideas of cruises and vacations and clothes and purses and things, and you can't sign your life away for a purse. You can't sign away your freedom. So yeah, honestly, I've just been working a lot. Even though after I moved, I am back, but just been embodying my masculine energy as much as I can, getting up early, working hard, staying focused all day, and just pushing through.
Not just to say everything is just a gender or a sex assignment concept, you know. We're all human beings. We all got our own ish going on. Like at the end of the day, when you're alone starting out your life, you know, like in your 20s, early 30s, establishing a career, whether it be establishing a relationship or your new life, like say for example, like you just moved out of the house or you just like transition into like a new career path that you're totally don't know what's going on. Like if you're going to the arts into entrepreneurship, for example, it can be
Yeah.
very daunting.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And of course, not everything is specific genders, like masculine and feminine. It's more about specific traits. Everybody really should be more of like a balance because everybody can do better work that way and just live a better life. You get along with people more. But what we're finding is like a lot of people tend to be one or the other, and they don't realize that it's not a bad thing to be feminine. It's not a bad thing to be masculine, You need a little bit of both. You need a good balance in your life. Otherwise, you're just off, you're off. So,
Mhm.
for example, some of the things that embody like a masculine energy is being bold, being business forward. Business decisions usually are associated so much with the masculine energy because it is that powering through, getting things done, head forward type of energy. Whereas the feminine, it can also be a business energy. It's different though because it's a little bit more subtle, a little bit more of a je ne sais quoi. It's more of a planned out, soft type of energy. Women do a lot of planning. Women do a lot of emotional thought and deep introspection. And so those are some traits that just, yeah, I think everyone needs. Everyone needs a little bit of everything.
Mhm. You think so?
I do think so. Yeah, I think because you'll notice men can be extra feminine as well. Men can be very feminine, whether they're straight, gay. You can be feminine, and same with women. Women can be masculine, and I don't think that it's good to live in the energy too long of being too much of one or the other. I think it's necessary, and I think it's really cool to be able to try both and then have both of those types of traits. You need to learn when to be strong and when to be soft, when to be commanding and when to be, a little more nurturing. So, and when to listen.
Most definitely, because a lot of people are very polarizing, you know, in their masculine or feminine. I mean, there are situations, say, for example, you know, you're just recently married. The guy can't just act like a dickhead all the time. He has to, like, have a little, lack of a better term, have a little beta traits in him and actually nurture, you know, his pregnant woman that he's with, you know, whether married or baby mama type of situation. Not like we have a lot of those in Vegas, but you know.
Yeah, exactly, though. Exactly. And it's also this really funny concept, which I think a lot of men are trying to get down of women like an asshole. Why do women like an asshole? But then again, when I'm talking to my friends, oh, he's too nice. Oh, that guy's too nice. I could never. I don't understand. A lot of people are having trouble distinguishing between those two. What is the line? What is the line in between masculine and feminine? What's the line between soft and hard?
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, those are very, hard, true defining lines to say. I mean, we know like on the surface level examples of like being a man, just providing, having that big machismo, being strong, being a leader, protector, provider, and just, being setting an example to society and usually being a good person. As you said, most guys that get women are mostly assholes or dicks most of the time. Sometimes that's most of the time true, not really.
I was just gonna say, yeah, psychologists and people who are studying the current dating scene are finding that it's about 1% of the men who are taking home the majority of the women. How can this be possible? How can this be possible that 1% of men are having sex with the majority of women? That's wild. That's like 6 partners per male ratio or more. Um, so what is it? What is it about that 1% of male, do you think, that just intrigues women so much? What is it about that alpha male or that man in your life that you know who is constantly having dates, constantly women all the time. He'll be telling you about a new girl. Oh, I just met this girl. Oh, there's this other new girl. What is it? Why is there just one person who's getting it all?
You kind of answered it yourself, ironically. So the 1% is basically just those winners of men. They're the, lack of a better term, alpha Chad guys that just win in everything: looks, status, money, charisma, etc. They got
Yep.
that oozing self-evidence of like, I'm a winner because they all, there's like a little checkbox for guys, it's like, oh, they check all the check boxes.
Yes.
And, if girls have all their check boxes checked, they'll gravitate towards those 1% man that are winning, basically.
Yeah, I feel that. And I don't ask questions I don't know the answer to. I've thought
Hmm.
about this many, many times. The biggest thing that I see is rich men.
Okay.
Rich men, despite what they look like, and it's usually sometimes it's quite awful, especially in the tech industry. But rich men generally doesn't matter what they look like. They get the women. And why is that? Why is it that they're getting the women?
Hmm.
They're
Uh,
selling the ideas. They're selling the idea to women unintentionally most of the time as well, that if you give me what I want, you might gain access to all of the money that I have, all of the resources, all of the restaurants, all of the clubs, all of the money, all the money.
mhm,
So I'm gatekeeping all of these things. What do you have for me?
mhm.
And lots of women will think about that one. And I think everybody should think about that one for themselves because I can't tell you the answer.
Yeah.
I know
But
my own.
yeah, yeah. Where do you think it usually leads?
It leads to sex. Women want to have sex with men who have money because they think that that is the gatekeeping thing. It's exactly what I was saying about women are the gatekeepers of sex. Men are the gatekeepers of real relationships. And sometimes, like in the situation we're talking about, money and resources.
Yes.
So these men can gatekeep all that they want. But these women sometimes feel that they don't have much more to offer. And they really should never feel that way. You really should never feel that way. But unfortunately, that is what happens. That is what happens because you do get lost in a world where people seem like they know more than you, seem like they have all the answers, all the resources, all the money. And when you're not sure what to offer to somebody who has it all, you know what you're gatekeeping. And that's the one thing that you're gatekeeping that they haven't had in your personal opinion.
What is an alternative way for women to like give back value other than, their bodies and sex.
Well, I think, like I said, women have a lot of feminine energy to offer, and you do need a bit of the masculine. You need to teach yourself how to grab onto a little bit of masculine energy because that is going to make you magnetic. Having a little bit of both, having the feminine and the masculine, you need to be able to think from both perspectives, both sides. You need to see how somebody else is feeling. And if you're not able to do that and you don't have the emotional comprehension to do that, I think you should do a little soul searching. You should look into yourself. Go touch some grass. Go out and get judged. Go get judged. Get judged until you're authentic. And I think you just need to bring to the table exactly who you are, and you'll find the right people.
Uh-huh.
Because honestly, you can't keep faking in this world. You can't, it's not going to get you anywhere. Somebody's
Yeah.
always going to figure you out. Someone will be
Yeah.
able to figure you out. And it's just figuring out the right people.
Do you have any anecdotes like that in Vegas where any of your friends, they just, be themselves, she found the right guy for just being herself. Do you have any good stories like that?
I do. I do. I have an amazing friend. She's moved out of Vegas now, but I have a great friend who found the love of her life and she is so happy. And she did it by being in situations and putting herself in a lot of situations that she found were damaging. And I'm not saying anybody should intentionally put themselves in a damaging situation, but unfortunately, that's kind of the way that it naturally happens. And so that's kind of why I'm here talking, is because it doesn't have to happen that way. It doesn't have to be that difficult. You don't have to just stumble around in the dark. There's resources, there's things to do to improve yourself before you have to just throw yourself endlessly into situations that aren't meant for you until you understand and you get it in your head that it's not meant for you.
There's a lot of trials and tribulations we're not going to get into, but
Mhm.
if I could simplify this, if I can, so it might not align with what your experiences are with her or what you heard from what she said, but from what I'm hearing, uh, her journey just to be with this new man, I'm assuming relationship, whatever, it wasn't pitch perfect. She went through some stuff that was, not optimal,
Mhm.
not kind or the best,
Mhm.
but it worked out, for both parties. And in the end, she's still with him, and they both, I wouldn't say compromised, but agreed upon, their check boxes and requirements for the relationship they want to be in.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. You have to be really open and honest about what you want in your life. You just need to be honest. And if you don't know who you are and you don't know where you're going in life, how are you expecting to take somebody with you? How are you expecting to have a perfect relationship if you can't control your ego or you can't control there's certain things you can't control in life. There's a lot of things you can't control. So control what you can. It's like the saying, you might not live in the nicest house, but it's going to look a lot nicer if you clean it. If you clean it up and if you really just sort through your things and throw out the stuff that you don't need anymore, and everything will look so much better. Just declutter, but do it for yourself. Take a look at yourself, think hard. A lot of the time we want to look at the other person and we want to say that person's not perfect and this isn't what I thought, right? But you got to look at yourself first. And that's difficult to do. It's difficult to do. Your ego is going to keep telling you, I'm fine. I'm fine. It's not me, it's them.
Yeah, that was actually the first rule in 12 Rules for Life in Jordan Peterson's book. Have you read it?
No, I haven't read it actually. I keep having conversations. People want me to like reach out to Jordan Peterson for
Hmm. That
people
would be
want
really
me to
cool.
reach out and talk with him, I guess. I don't know what they want, but they think my ideas are really similar and they're interested. So, could you tell me more about him? I don't really know much about him.
Yeah, so he's actually a clinical psychologist, PhD. I think recently his license has been revoked by the Canadian board for psychology or whatever. I don't know what their naming convention is for like their psychologist board. But yeah,
Yeah.
recently his stuff was revoked for controversy and just him disagreeing with a lot of similar American culture that's happening right now, like the woke culture, LGBTQ, pronouns,
Mm.
etc. He has a very right-winged approach. This is a simplification of like
Yeah.
how he's perceived and viewed. But that's why he's mostly getting canceled, like on Twitter, Instagram, etc., because his viewpoints are very controversial per se to a lot of people, and a lot of people do not agree with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think apparently I would agree with it because
Yeah.
so many people are telling me that I've just got to go eh, figure out who he is. So for me, it's just taking control of your ego and figuring out what is triggering that ego in you. What is triggering? My God, my dog is just in a frenzy. She's back and forth. All right.
Just want the
I'll
attention.
I'll let you ask a question. Why don't you ask a question?
Yeah, sure, sure. So back to the Vegas lifestyle. What was the dating scene like since you made some friends there? You've seen some horrendous and good stories, wild stories. You experienced it yourself. What was going on in the dating scene like in Vegas since it's very abnormal to like other, places here in America. Let's say, for example, California, Iowa, fucking Mississippi. I'm pretty sure it would be vastly different.
Yeah, so Vegas, mentioning hookup culture, Vegas is the hookup city, literally. I would say the majority of people in that city have been with other people. If we're talking what is it, 7 degrees removed, if we're talking about the Kevin Bacon theory here, it's about 2 or 3 people removed if you're in Vegas. Everybody knows everybody for the most part. Everybody has slept with everybody else, and everybody new in the city is, transient. They come in and then they come out. It's just, it's really wild. I'm trying to think of a crazy story here.
Because it's like a normal Tuesday, right? Over there.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously, over here it's very corporate. It's hard to explain. Everybody is very formal. It's a little bit more corporate frat boy zone over here. Um, Not to say that the men are much nicer, but let's see. Vegas, something interesting that I noticed with hookup culture is like the gay dating scene, because I have quite a few gay friends. The gay dating scene is wild. Same exact thing. Everybody's sleeping with everybody. But what I've noticed is gay culture in general is kind of a more forward. The gay dating scene is actually a really good example of what's to come in the future, just for heteronormative dating, because of the fact that they're very advanced in accepting hookup culture, which is a good thing. I do think we should accept it. Being open and honest and non-judgmental about others who do want to hook up with other people. And then also kind of getting into the space of like open relationships and getting into the space of then you have other people who are in the lifestyle and swingers, and they're coming in after. So slowly you can see that it's the trickle down effect, and it's happening with gay guys are not finding relationships as much. They can
Mhm.
find many hookups. And then on the flip side, with straight relationships, women are not finding relationships and men are not finding hookups. So it's almost like a flip-flop where we're looking at each other saying the other person, the grass is greener on the other side. And unfortunately, we're still trying to figure out how to fix it. We're trying to figure out how everybody can be happy. What is too much hooking up? What is too much dating? I think everybody should have a healthy balance of, cycles in their life where you go through meeting people and hooking up and then, finding your person eventually. But I feel like everybody treats dating nowadays as a very serious thing. If you're dating, it's serious. If there's
Mhm.
a label on it, it's serious. We're gonna get married. And I feel like my point of view is that dating is more fun, right? You should just take someone out and have fun and meet their personality and see if you like them. Like one date shouldn't be treated like you have to take me to the most fancy restaurant, you have to spend hundreds of dollars on me. And then on the reverse side, it shouldn't be a guy just spending money to try and hook up with a girl. It's not cool. So it's just finding like a healthy balance between those two things.
Mhm.
How can we
Okay.
how can we make everyone happy?
You used to date, right, Hannah?
Yes.
Yeah. What were your usual dates like? How did they take you out? What did you like? What did you dislike?
Okay. So when I'm going on a date, I'm really open. I don't have expectations. I don't tell them where to take me. I kind of just propose it as a hangout or a meetup, and I'm honest with them, and I have open conversation with them so they know that, oh, I'm not promising sex, I'm not promising anything, but it's kind of no expectations. It's just a very open, go with the flow experience. And I don't expect anybody to take me to a restaurant that I couldn't afford to go to on my own. And that's why personally I think it's not that big of a deal if we go and take a walk by the river or go and, do something that's fun. I like experiences. That's one thing for dates with girls, experiences. Trying something new, trying something that both of you haven't done before and seeing where it goes, and something where you can show off your personality. If you can show off your personality, that's the key. Show off and don't take yourself somewhere you know how to do everything and you're a pro. Don't go and be a golf pro at Top Golf, okay? Like we want something everybody can do and everything's fun. We want to show ourselves off, show off your personality. And then again, on the flip side, if someone's not for you, everybody needs to find an appropriate way to point out people's flaws. If you didn't brush your teeth before the date, I'm not going to ghost you. I'm going to tell you, you didn't brush your teeth. We're not going on a date again. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, I feel like that's the way it should be. I feel like people are being too soft, being too nice.
Hmm.
And I don't think you should be mean. I think you should find a nice way to say things. But I think that our culture is too protective nowadays. It's too protective over people's feelings, and nobody is receiving constructive criticism.
I've noticed this for guys and girls, what bad hygiene, Like no guy, 99% of the time, no guy's ever gonna say, damn girl, you need to take a shower because you smell like shit. Like no
Damn,
guy's ever gonna say,
girl, am I
yeah.
passing a fish market or did you just open your legs?
Yeah, no guy's ever gonna be like, damn, does it smell like a fish market in here? That has happened a few times to some of my friends where they're just hanging out, with a girl, like she's just a friend, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they smell something in the car and they're like, damn, why does it smell like a fish all of a sudden? And it's all like, two and two together, and it's like, and she was sitting in the back seat too, and there's no air
Oh,
freshener.
there was some
Yeah,
distance. You gotta put an air freshener right in the middle in that little console. Pop that bad boy in there. Take
yeah.
care of that.
Or just, put an air freshener, right in the middle where she is. You know what I'm saying?
Casually roll down the window.
Bro, it was bad. It was bad, Hannah. I swear to God. But
Damn.
yeah, getting back on topic though, yeah. It's a little hard and tricky to be that type of person because most of the time, as you said, when one little flaw happens like that, a dude didn't like has bad breath, she's gonna ghost him, and it's not gonna give constructive feedback, as you said.
Yeah. The
You have to,
ick.
yes,
The ick. The dreaded ick.
yeah.
Everybody is so scared of getting the ick. And you realize it's just a moment. So if you guys don't know what the ick is a moment or a specific thing somebody does that just makes you feel, ugh. It just, oh, it could be social. It could be even picking your nose. It could be anything. People have really weird icks too. What's a weird ick that you've heard?
So another way, in my opinion, not just saying it's an ick, like pet peeves.
A pet peeve. Yeah.
Yeah, basically these are pet peeves. So
I
like,
feel like a pet peeve is something though that somebody will put up with for longer. An ick is like it hits you like a
yeah,
truck.
like
You're
like an immediate no,
oh,
right? Yeah,
yeah,
like automatic no. Yeah.
immediately no.
Yeah.
Immediately.
As you said with pet peeves, it's like I don't like it. I'll tolerate it though if it's okay.
Exactly. If
Yeah,
I'm
I mean, so technically, this is cool because I get to talk about it right now. You see these statues right here?
yes.
Yeah, so this is already an ick itself. Like a lot of girls get turned off by this. I'm in an anime.
Okay.
Yeah. See, oh, you're already doing it. You're proving my point,
No,
kind of.
I'm doing a confused face.
Uh-huh. Would you like me to explain?
No, please keep going. Yes.
Yeah, so this is definitely an ick to a lot of girls because a lot of girls don't like guys that play video games or like anime or they're into like, this weird 2D Japanese stuff. It's off-putting to some girls. Yeah,
Hmm.
majority actually. I'm gonna be
I
honest with you.
wonder. I wonder why. I wonder why. Do you have a theory?
Well, most of the time, 99.9% of the time, it's childish. It's very off-putting because they don't look like people. But it's mostly just because it's childish. In the realms
So
of
now I
anime,
understand why
it's immature.
the video game and now I understand why the video game anime boys are perfectly matched with the Squishmallow Hello Kitty girls.
I mean, that's one way of putting it. I have one friend, she's like that. Shout out to her. You know who she is, so.
Yeah, I'm a squish girl. I'm a Squishmallow girl.
Oh,
I
you like
just
Hello Kitty.
love, for me, if I walked into a boy's bedroom and I saw that, I wouldn't judge it first. My ego would think, hmm, okay. But the real me would be sitting there and I'd be like, okay, let's find out. Let's find out this person's hobbies. Let's see. Because for me, what overpowers everything is people just loving being about their shit, whatever it is. Just people embodying anything that they love and they geek out about. It's so hot to me. Just anybody who has hobbies, anybody who has like a specific thing or I don't know anything when somebody gets into like really telling a story or anything like that. It's so attractive. It's insane.
You love passion.
I love passion and I love people being themselves, being
Hmm.
authentically themselves. It's unmatched.
Mm. Which is cool because a lot of people that we met in Vegas, I'm pretty sure you could relate to this. A lot of them have their own thing going on, their niche, what they're passionate about, whether it's acting, whether it's getting into the arts, whether it's technology. That's what, as you said, makes them you, the identity, just bringing in that fire, that life to it.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Bringing in their own little special part of themselves to everything that they do. And that's what's amazing about being a creative. But Vegas definitely attracts people like that, really outlandish, creative people with insane minds, just beautiful minds. I love it.
Most definitely, most definitely. So for the guys out there who like anime, as you said, I appear with this. You say it's as you said, like a pet peeve type of thing. You're not for it, but you're not against it either. You're intrigued and curious. You know.
Yes, intrigued and curious for sure. But if I move in and then you start playing video games for 8 hours every day and I'm doing your laundry, ooh,
And then you don't
maybe
have a
that feel
job.
maybe that feeling starts to wear off just a little bit.
Yeah.
Or if you're devoting more time to your video game instead of your girl, things get a little iffy, let's go play some missions in real life. Let's go do some things in real life. How about that?
Yeah, because there's a lot of men out there that have just lost their way. They don't have a mission. They're just bumming around and like just watching anime video games or Netflix all day. They don't have a job. They're either on unemployment or they just lost hope and despair to find true love or just to even get a job and go outside and, as you said, touch grass.
Yes. Go outside, baby, touch some grass. Once you figure out how to love yourself, come on back. That's a Queen Herbie reference. Love my girl, Queen Herbie. Shout out if you see this. Mm. But yeah, so just everybody being their authentic self. I mean, that's all that matters. Just be yourself. Just go touch some grass. Everybody is really having a a big thing, and it's the screens, it's work, it's this whole cycle that everybody's on, and it's just regulated by the government, unfortunately. I mean, we're all just in this lifestyle, so it's fun to just any way you can differentiate yourself, go outside, meet some people you never met before with experiences you haven't had. Go talk to an old person. Go do anything you can. Just get out of your bubble and try new things. That's it. But yeah, so the government really isn't helping to support dating or anybody who wants to actually have kids on purpose. Which is really freaking rough. The 40-hour work week seems like every single time I use that term, it goes up by 5 hours. 45-hour work week. Some people are out here working a 60-hour work week. It's just not supportive of people like going out and meeting people or even having energy to date and have lively relationships.
Are you referring to the book, Tim Ferriss's book, The 40-Hour Work Week?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I read that one a long time ago.
Yeah, usually, ironically, that book is about trying to optimize.
Is about trying to do the opposite.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Yes. Bernie Sanders just proposed a new bill that could turn us into a 4-day work week
Huh.
instead of 5.
What do you mean by that? What was the provision about?
Um, I would have to read it. I would have to read it. I
Yeah,
don't know. I would have to reread it so I could give some more specific details. But
yeah, that's
that's
an
what I heard.
interesting.
I hope it goes through. But anything Bernie does, people kind of tend to find a reason to hate, even if it's supportive. That's all.
In what way?
Even if it's supportive of what the people kind of need. I feel like any government that's going too far in any direction is a bad thing.
Hmm.
Trying to be more specific. Here's the funny thing. Here's the funny and interesting thing about today in society, in American culture. People don't know who the bad guy is. Nobody can decide if there's a bad guy and who it is and what side he's on. Nowadays, people can't even tell what side Elon Musk is on. People are saying, oh, he's extremely liberal, extremely left wing. And then you have other people saying he's extremely right wing. People can't decide anymore what's what. And I think it's really funny because when you have two fingers pointing at each other, there's usually a third player.
Hmm. You could say the same for science as well. Like, the right wing people think science is like anti-religion and basically, it doesn't coincide with their ideas. And compared to the left wing, there's some sciences in science where it won't be part of their agendas, so they're demonizing it because some science is anti-science or is not considered real science, pseudoscience, for example, etc. So, most things in life in both ways can be demonized and villainized quite easily. Anything can be considered bad, good, etc. It depends on the individual and how they see fit in their perspective and how they label everything, because we're all different. We all polarize different ideas. We got the simple, A versus B, red versus blue, white versus black, that type of white and black thinking.
Yeah, everything's gray. Everything's gray. just in the same sense that everything can be true. And
Mm.
it's really hard. Everything can be true because truth is subjective to every person's individual ideas and needs and perspectives based on all the stuff you've been through. So something that may be true to me is not true for everybody else. And that's where everything is getting gray. There's a big gray zone there. And certain people know how to use that gray zone to their advantage. The
Yeah,
ones that
how very Machiavellian, if you've heard of the term.
yes, it is.
Yes,
It's Machiavellian.
yes.
Um, but yeah, I relate that kind of in a way to the ego because I love like Carl Jung and I love psychologists. And I'm so obsessed with this idea of the ego because it's like this toxic, like you were saying, everybody has their agenda. It's almost the ego is getting in the way, whether it's a business, a company, a corporation, or an individual. It's the ego that is pushing whatever agenda that you want to go through, whether it's the goals your ego wants to achieve, whether it's, oh my gosh, a multitude of things. It's just the ego, when the ego's in control, it will take advantage of everything as well as yourself and your actual moral self.
Yes, it's an unconscious driving force, whether it be in the back of your head and you believe in it, or whether you think it's a part and compartmentalized into your personality, it's something that's studied and a theory that's unconsciously there, which we believe in as people, because what's the driving force of things that we do in life, it's mostly just unconscious, like biological needs that we do want, whether it's, eat, sleep, sex, or it's like modern convention ideas like being president. This is going to sound weird, taking over another country if you're not American, like if you live in a very corrupt government and society and you don't care about it and you just want power for yourself, how are you going to be a driving force to get your needs and wants met? Finding true love. Yeah.
And how are you going to help anybody else?
Hmm.
How are you
Yeah.
going to
If
help
you're
anybody else?
altruistic. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It goes back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's funny because every single time people complain to me about things, I'm sure they hate complaining to me, and that's probably why they stop complaining to me. Every single time I get a complaint, I kind of refer back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay, are you fulfilling your basic needs? Shelter, clothes, food, water, air. And it's hilarious how many ask any girl on TikTok or Instagram, "Hey, did you have water today? I had an iced coffee and a couple puffs of my vape." Oh, girly, that is level 1 of 5 on Maslow's hierarchy, and you're not completing it. How are you expecting to go on dates? How are you expecting to find love? You can't even put water in your mouth, honey. You need to help yourself. You know what I mean? You need to help yourself first, always, always. But then level two of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Level 2 is your safety needs, your bodily safety, your resources, your environment, your employment nowadays is a big one. All those things are like, if you don't feel safe in your employment, if you don't feel safe in your home, you're never going to be able to have self-esteem. You're not going to have very good relationships. And it's not your fault. This system is set up so that you're not getting every single one of your needs. Unfortunately, when all of us are in a renter society and we're scared and we don't know where we're going to live next year, or we're just stuck in a cycle of moving and moving over and over, we're never going to have that safety of shelter. So not only do you need your basic needs, not only do you need the water, you need the food, you need the sex, you need all of those things, you need security in those things as well. You need to know that it's going to be there. Having water isn't enough if you don't know where it's going to be tomorrow. You're still going to psychologically be terrified. You don't know where it's coming from. So that's important.
I'd like to talk about the housing crisis that's been happening lately. I like how you were talking about that. We live in a renter society, so it seems impossible now to get a house in our modern day culture. It's hard to afford real estate, just for simple like, family homes. Most people or most corporations are buying out these houses just for rent. And it's hard for the common man now and women, to be inclusive.
Yeah, it is. It's really difficult, and it's funny that we bring up Vegas. Vegas in particular is an insanely horrible renters market to be in. You can get kicked out at any time. The state laws are very in favor of the landlords, of the property managers, and a lot of these property management companies are just scamming people. They are. They're taking applications. A lot of companies, for example, will have, say, 20 houses that they manage, 20 properties that they manage, beautiful, nice properties. Out of those properties, the amount that they're actually renting to people every month are maybe 5 to 8. The other ones that are remaining, they keep them on the market for months at a time and just collect applications and then tell you, oh, you've been rejected. But at 75 to $90 a pop for houses that are 3 bedroom or more,
Mhm,
2, 3 bedroom,
mhm.
how many people do you think are applying to each property? You're making a lot more money as a property management company by just having the majority of the houses that you own and you rent and manage empty and just collect those application fees. You're making more probably than the amount of people who are renting in a month. So say your other renters are paying, 2,000 to 3,000 a month. You're making more just collecting application fees, just letting it sit there and having 80 to 100 people apply over and over, and nothing ever happens. Nobody ever goes and shut these places down. Nobody ever questions because, oh, we don't really care about the renters. They move out of Vegas all the time. People are moving into Vegas all the time. Oh, we don't really care. We want to protect our landlords who live here. Wild.
Yeah, that's quite appalling. Thank you for telling me this exploit that's happening. It's probably not just happening in Vegas. Definitely other property management companies are doing it here in California as well. I'm pretty sure other states as well is doing the same thing until, their local government finds out, what they're doing. But that is very appalling, I will say.
Yeah, in Vegas it's just so prevalent. Another issue though with the Vegas market is also the fact that you can only list your house for rent, or a management company can only list it for rent after the people have moved out. So after your last tenants have left, you can put it back on the market. But I don't think you're allowed to do showings. I don't think you're allowed to list your property until those people are out or nobody lives there.
Mhm.
So the issue then is that they are looking for somebody to fill that spot in 2 weeks. And if you apply and they accept you for that property, you are only given, I think it's 2 weeks to decide if you want to move in there, but you have, or no. You have one day, you have 24 hours to decide if you want to move, to accept or decline. And then after that, they give you 2 weeks to move in. So
Okay.
14 days.
Okay, okay, got you. That's the how this is happening.
So if you can imagine, people are trying to move and trying to move places, how am I only going to have a 2 weeks notice of whether I can get into this place
Mhm.
as a renter, as somebody looking? So what's happening is that you're only getting 2 weeks. And if you need to move, first of all, packing takes more than 2 weeks. Second of all, it makes it really hard for anyone to move in. It makes it impossible for anyone to move cross country. So if you live out of state and you're trying to move into Vegas, 9 times out of 10, if they see an out-of-state number on a realtor's phone, not picking up. They're not picking up unless it's California or unless it's Arizona. They don't care. They say, oh, those people never come. They never come. Well, you know why? You're only giving people 2 weeks after they apply and sign the paperwork. You're only giving people 2 weeks to decide whether they can make that happen or not. And at the same time, well, you, the renter, have 2 weeks to decide. They can take as long as they want to process your application. They can accept as many applications as they want and keep you on hold or standby for as long as they want. So they can collect 80 applications and say you're the first one. Well, I gotta move in 2 weeks. I gotta move in a month. Oh, okay. Well, we're looking for more people. That's always their response. Well, we're looking to see if anybody else applies. You're the only applicant. So then they keep you on hold for 2 weeks. Oh, well, my move date is getting closer. Can we decide what we're gonna do? They have the legal right to do that and just leave you hanging. You can keep calling and seeing what's going on, but it's a harsh market. It's really crazy there.
It sounds like they're lying because, as you said, there's a bunch of applications coming in, and for them to say to you that you're the only application on file that's qualified, or that there's others, like only a two or three, and then they get a bunch. As you said, it's just a bunch of cherry picking and stalling just to collect their application fees.
Exactly. Exactly. It is. It's a lot of cherry picking, a lot of stalling, and it's really unfortunate. And the homeless population in Vegas just keeps growing, and people want to look down on people who are homeless,
Yeah,
and especially in Vegas, and it's a really hard place to be homeless. Oh, I just feel so terrible for the people that we see there, but there's nothing you can do. I mean, what would you propose to help with homelessness in America? I mean,
yeah. It's a really hard problem to fix and tackle because the homeless crisis here in California is just as bad as in Vegas. I'm assuming in other states, but
worse. I
if
would say
not as
worse.
worse on the West Coast. Some
Hmm.
people have proposed, create more homeless shelters. There's been a lot of that going on in the San Francisco area. Um, this also relates to the drug problem, the opioid crisis happening as well, since it's prevalent in homelessness and the homeless community. Because what else are they going to do to cope with their life, their livelihood, their life situation?
Yeah.
It's very hard. It's tumultuous. There's not a lot we can work with as the American people and the government, each local government that they're in, because each state law is different from the other. Some are very similar, some are like way out of whack, way different. So right now, how California is tackling it, honestly, there really is no good or best answer. It's like do the best that you can, create homeless shelters, try to at least, as you said, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like just get a home or at least some place to stay warm or stay safe. Try to, pick yourself back up, get back on your feet. But there's a lot of other side tangents and issues with that as well, other than just on the surface, the homeless issue. There's the drug issue. There's relying too much on state government programs. There's a lot of people that do love that, but that's another side tangent topic for now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I don't know if you knew, but the homeless crisis in LA specifically started after World War II. So there's people in California, I'm sure of, who are almost 4 generations in homelessness right now. And that's heartbreaking. Can you imagine 4 generations? That is your great grandparent all the way to you has been homeless. That's heartbreaking. That's terrible.
It is, especially as the American people, we're trying to help our own country. And right now, I mean, we got a lot of stuff happening right now. There's the stuff going on between Israel and Iran that's currently happening. There's the Ukraine and Russia conflict happening right now. Some people are saying we might enter World War III pretty soon with all this conflict happening. So once like a major event happens where there's true US intervention, that's definitely one of the hallmarks and one of the start of World War III technically, or
I'm sorry to say that I feel that we're already in motion. I mean, ever
Mhm,
since I heard of the BRICS alliance, it's it's been done. I
mhm,
think that was probably the first or second main action of World War III being put into play. Because if you do look at history, I mean, World War One started because Franz Ferdinand was assassinated, and nobody thought that was a big idea. He was the Archduke of Austria. Nobody thought that's a big deal. Why would
I thought
anybody?
that I thought that was World War II. I could be wrong, but
Was it? Was it? I hope.
yeah, I think that was the start of World War II, actually. The assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. Yeah, I don't want to say wrong things, so hopefully
No, no, I got you.
okay, whoever's right, what matters is the facts, of course. No worries, no worries.
Was World War One.
Okay,
Um,
I was wrong there.
so nobody back in that time would have thought it was a big deal that, oh, the Archduke of Austria has been killed. Oh, I'm not, people in Britain weren't thinking that that's a large deal.
Mhm.
But development of years later, we see how the events turned into something larger, and World War One led to World War Two. There are insignificant things that will happen that are extremely significant. The BRICS alliance for me caught my eye. Being
Okay.
super into history, super into all things American culture. Wow. That rocked me because we've never had a war technically on American soil. It's
Mhm.
come close. Hawaii, that does count, but we've never had war here.
Mhm.
And everything that I see is just leading towards a cluster fuck.
I'm gonna be honest, that's almost every day where everything is just chaotic, a clusterfuck, as you said.
Yeah, cluster fuck. But yeah, basically with the BRICS alliance, when I saw Brazil, Russia, India, China, I believe Iran is in there. I might
Mhm.
be wrong, but I believe Iran is in there. And South Africa. When you see these people lying, and then you also see that China is trying to manipulate the US dollar when it comes to oil, ooh, they're moving us away from the US dollar, and that's not a good thing. You have four or five major countries all with the same mission, and then on top of it, we messed with Russia's monetization. We messed with Russia's value of their currency a couple years ago when Biden did his sanctions. So why do you think that it wouldn't come back around and they are going to try and come and do the exact same thing to us? That doesn't make, it doesn't make sense to say that those things don't correlate.
Yeah. And they say that it doesn't matter, but when, as you said, you're fighting about, the allocation of resources and the value of those resources, when you mess with them, and then your country basically becomes poor because of it as their value decreases. I mean, just to say their correlation is just being nice, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
As they say, I mean, I love when people use the word coincidence because if you think it's a coincidence, you're just not looking hard enough.
Mhm. Or you're just ignoring it and saying it's just a coincidence. And then reality hits them in the head, or until it actually affects them, that's when they start to accept the truth and reality that's been happening to them. Because it's not part of, the other person's perspective in reality. Like they're not Russian, they can't feel their Russian economy taking because they're not Russian. They only care about, what their lives are like. We,
Exactly.
the American people, were very ignorant about like, geopolitics and just the world in general, other people's cultures. I'm into anime and like the Japanese culture, and right now, there's like a bunch of stuff going on that's pretty bad because everyone thinks Japan's like hoity-toity nice. It's all about the graceful innocence of like the culture, and everyone's like passive aggressive. Everyone's like really nice and kind. And the more that I researched about Japan and the truth of like the modern day times in Japan, it's not like that at all. It's not.
Yeah. You know what? That's what I've noticed. And I've noticed that finally the governments of the world are starting to catch up with social media and they're starting to understand what it really is. Social media is an observer's platform. You are staring at everybody else's lives. You're just staring at whatever people are showing you. It's propaganda. Everybody's social media is propaganda. Let's be honest. So, you know what? These countries are starting to understand. If we can, have everybody in America posting that they're living in a high rise. Oh my God. Wow. America looks beautiful to everybody else. If you're posting that Japan is just cultural and beautiful, which it is,
It
but
is.
if that's all that you're showing, hmm, okay, you're not getting versions of reality. So it's really funny how, like, the past couple years, I think it was the pandemic that really set it off of people, not really people, but the higher ups, the government people, understanding what they can do with social media and how they can trick everybody. And so now social media is like a propaganda machine for, saying your country is the best. But all of us are living here and looking around like, whoo, this is the ghetto. Come on. Like, we all know it's not true.
Most definitely, most definitely. What I like is I see social media as just a tool. You can use it many ways, whether for good or for bad. As I said, it can be used as a propaganda tool, for your country. It can be used for business, marketing, and expertise that you're very much in, using social media as a platform to market, your business and your company, etc., run ads. Some people have been using it now as a dating app, like it's unofficially like a new dating app feature, you highlight yourself, your lifestyle, what you can do. And as you said, it's mostly just the outside highlights of the appearance of a good persona, a good face, a good image.
Mhm. It's a seeable version of the ego. It is a perceivable version of your ego. And ego doesn't always have to be a bad thing. I mean, your ego can be a positive thing. It can, but a lot of the time it's there to protect you. It's there to keep your image of yourself pristine. And unfortunately, these filters are working really well as well. Many of these women do believe that they look like the filters they're putting on their face. Or if you put a body filter on, you're thinking, "Oh, I don't look the way that I look." You're not getting a true perception of yourself because you're staring at yourself through your phone. You're staring at yourself through videos you're taking with a filter on. It's not going to be the same, honey. It's just not.
Yeah, I did not know this actually. So when most girls use social media, the perceived image that they post, that's how they see themselves. They don't actually look themselves in a mirror and say that's them.
Yes. Yes. That's what's happening. It's a new thing. I've heard many people complaining to me as well. It's a new thing that women, especially, I'm sure men do sometimes as well. Women especially are taking videos with filters and constantly using filters to then psychologically trick themselves into thinking they really do look like that. And they're using editing, they're editing the hair, they're editing the face, they're editing all of these things. And I think light editing is okay if you would like to do that, but it's psychologically hurting people to be editing and staring at themselves like that all the time when it's not a true perception and you're never really going to be able to perceive yourself the way that other people do. It more so comes from the confidence in yourself that you will come off the way that you want to come off. And so unfortunately the filter is a band-aid for that.
Yeah, most definitely. In Asia culture, like most of like China, Japan, most of South Asia, they do a lot of those apps, where they edit themselves. Most of the girls, they want to like look like an anime character, look like the cute kawaii, like clean skin and all that, A lot of girls, as you know, are very much into the aesthetics, beauty, beauticians, cosmetology. So just using an app instead of actually putting in the work, as you said, health, or actually learning some like makeup tutorials, etc., or actually having a good diet, those can be thrown out of the water now because with technology, you could just edit yourself and look like the ideal dream body and look that you want and have.
Exactly. Exactly. And that is the biggest issue is everybody can have anything they want nowadays, okay? Just saying you have something is enough to actually having it.
Would you say like just having proof, for example, on social media is saying that they feel enough, they feel good enough with it within themselves. It's like, oh, I have proof that, I look beautiful, or I hang out with a ton of girls, or I have a lot of money, or I'm dating the dream person. And there's visual evidence of that proof, and you feel fulfilled, like fulfilling your ego.
100%. That is exactly what it is. And that's why you see, I think people are doing it to make themselves feel better. And I think it's okay, but I don't think it's going to actually make a lasting difference in your life. I think it's interesting. You'll see a lot of Instagram couples, right? You see a lot of these you also see a lot of these family vloggers, which I think is completely inappropriate. See a lot of family vloggers taking videos of what they do every day, and you know that there's moments off camera. You don't know what's going on, but it leaves questions. It leaves questions. Why do you feel the need to record all of your life? Why, what is imperfect that you need to look back at it from a distance? I think it's healthy to look at things from a distance, but it's almost confirmation bias. You're using confirmation bias over and over and over.
Mhm.
And it can be healthy. It can be very healthy. For example, a healthy example of confirmation bias can be people who take like fitness photos, unedited fitness photos, but when you're actually going to the gym and you want your progress photos, okay? These are the ugly photos you hide in your gallery and you don't want to show anybody, and it's like you're wearing like some ugly sports bra and like some granny panty, okay? But you want to show the change. You want to show the difference. That's a healthy confirmation bias, okay? That's a healthy way of confirming your change because you don't physically feel it. But when you're looking at your life as an observer all the time, you're not getting there's a disconnect. You see, you're not getting the POV of your life. You're creating a narrative.
Well, yeah, of course, like everyone has their own experiences, their own narrative, how they want to choose like their own life and path. I am not against that, but as you said, some people are too like how do you say like too locked in where they can't perceive or empathize like how else it's going to affect other people and their own progress.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And sometimes you're too locked in. And a lot of the time they'll say people with ADHD often shouldn't announce what they're going to do
Mhm.
because when you announce what you're going to do, it's just as good as you having actually done that thing. So I do feel like a lot of people are applying that where it's like, hey, if I take pictures with all these nice things, even if they're not mine,
Mhm.
I did the thing. It's mine because I have a photo, right? It's mine. It's part of me now.
So Hannah, I don't know if you noticed there's like this weird trend going on. There's like this one dude, his name is Brandon Jamal, I think, and he just released this new song. I'm gonna let you hear parts and snippets of this clip. He just recently got famous on World Star, so we're gonna watch this. We're gonna get your thoughts, and we're gonna see, how it impacts our modern day society. I think you'll know where this is going towards too. So give me 1 second. All right, can you see the screen?
Yes.
All right, so it's gonna be this right here.
You fucking left me.
World star. You let him hit it raw. You didn't have second thoughts. Now you a single mom. Now you a single mom. You said I'm a hardest kid. Don't care if he's here or not. But now you a single mom. Now you a single mom.
So shout outs to him. Shout out to Brandon Jamal for creating a spur into the world, into the modern dating scene, into the single mom movement that's happening right now as he disrupts the patterns, in this world.
I think he's bringing attention to a really important issue. Also, I think he's in Chicago. So if you're in Chicago, hit me up. We can make some music together. We can make some new songs. Um, I think it's hilarious. I love people who make music on anything they like. I just love to stim, so I'd be making music on anything. There's this one video of this little girl stimming. I wish we would have done that one. Maybe we can do that one next. Maybe I'll find it.
Yeah, as you said, this is a big stemming issue right now in modern America where there's a lot of single moms going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of single moms. And I mean, for one, if you can support yourself and you're safe and you know, you've got both you and your baby's needs, great. I'm very happy for you. If you've left a situation that you're not happy with, or, you know, if it's a situation like that that you can't control, I think there's a big thing going on where women are just either not accepting support of their family members, they're not accepting support of people that they should be. And then I've heard of a lot of mothers just don't want contact with the father anymore and they're just over it and they have fully rights to do so. I mean, they have legal rights to do so. The court favors. So it's unfortunate, but there's a lot happening. It's a lot of single moms out there, man. Respect to you. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it and I refuse.
Most definitely, yeah. It's unfortunate that we're in a state where there's a lot of single women out there, especially single moms, and they've been downtrodden by like, you know, partners that they've chosen, picked, and they've been finessed basically, and it's horrible to see, honestly. How did you feel that it was mostly just a parody of that type of culture happening, not just, you know, around the US, but in the dating culture as well?
Yeah, so I feel like he's kind of making fun. I mean, he's making fun of it and he's kind of making fun of single moms. But what I've noticed is a lot of men will not date single moms. They're not about it. They don't like it. And that really is unfortunate because there's a lot of single moms nowadays and single moms deserve love too. Okay? I just feel like it's pretty unfair. It's pretty unfair how men are just able to toss certain kinds of women aside that they don't find socially normal, pretty in the way that everybody accepts, or normally in the type of dynamics that are best supportive of themselves. But yeah, it's just unfortunate that like a lot of these women were put into this situation by unsupportive partners, like you said, and then other men see that as a reason to just automatically write her off as not a viable partner or anything like that. At the same time, I do think everybody is allowed to have their own preference. You're 100% allowed your own preference, and if you don't want to date a single mom, don't. And you know what? Then don't fuck them either. And don't be trying to have sexual relationships with them either. If that's not your thing and not your type, just avoid it completely. You know, you don't have to make anybody confused. You don't have to do anything sad. You don't have to treat people bad, okay?
Yeah. Now it's hard because most of these dudes realize there's a lot of single moms out in the dating market, and if that's the best they can do, you know, they want to get with her, and if it's serious, they will actually do it. But most of these guys don't want to like commit into a serious relationship with a single mom. They just want to like be casual, just, you know, friends with benefits type of stuff. Because it also gets awkward. Go ahead.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of misleading going on. A lot of misleading. I just think if everybody was able to be a little bit more open, communicatively, that would be helpful. If a guy can just say, "Hey, I am looking to hook up," and if a girl cannot freak out and go, "Oh, that's disgusting. How could you ever say that to me after we just matched on a dating swiping app?" Come on. Are you serious? You're on the app too. Let's be honest. We're all playing the game. We're all playing the game. You don't have to have that attitude. Like, you could just be like, "Oh, that's not what I'm looking for." That's it.
Yeah.
You know, at least he was honest with you. At least he told you. Otherwise, that shows him next time he's gonna have to go and lie to get it.
don't you find it ironic and comedic that most people on dating apps, because we're also in a dating app culture, it's mostly just not people. We see these profiles as just like robotic profiles. It's like, okay, well, what do I want on the menu for today? Do I want her or him, this or that? And as you said, it's mostly just preferences, like how we see food. It's like, what do I want to eat today? What do I want to bang or date or trying to get into a relationship, someone's pants today? And that's what most dating apps are like. It's like a service menu of basically trying to get, what you want. You're not always going to get what you want. You got to get what you can. For most of the men out there, they understand that, their dating scene is like, you get what you can, you can't get what you really want, so you have to settle.
Yes, yeah. And the biggest thing I found about that, about the whole settling and men seeing more options and women seeing more options, everybody is seeing more options. Everybody is seeing better versions. Everybody is seeing prime candidates. Go to a man's For You page or Explore page or anything on any social media, and you'll see plenty of prime candidates. I don't think that you should be comparing yourself. I just think that it's when you're seeing prime candidates, you're getting ideas that there's better out there. There's always better out there, and you're going to find someone better because guess what? 200 people liked my photo today, and I can choose any of them because they liked my photo, and that means something really deep, doesn't it?
Mhm.
So everybody has a false perception of how many people and how many viable candidates are really out there because you're seeing everybody in the world. You're seeing all the options out there. In reality, the amount of people willing to put up with you in a relationship are going to be much less.
Mhm.
Or even put up with you for a night. It's going to be honestly much less than is perceived by anybody.
Do you think that too much options is considered a bad thing then?
Yes. Yes.
Why?
I think there's too many options. There's too many options everywhere. There's too many options in the grocery store. There's too many brands of ketchup. I just want 2 brands of ketchup to choose from. Okay. The options are exhausting. I feel like the options are becoming exhausting for everybody.
That's
That's how
just
I personally feel. That's how I feel. I feel like how many versions of a mayonnaise can you make? How many versions? Do we need an aisle just full of soup, of different kinds of soup? No.
yeah.
No.
That's the competitive aspect of getting other people to try to buy your stuff. There's so many options, there's so many competitors, people want to try and vie for what they could get and what they want and desire for. Most guys
Yeah.
want a beautiful girl, most girls want that committed relationship or whatever they want,
Mhm.
a casual, personal marriage, etc. So it's hard out there in this competitive world that we live in.
Yeah. I like to be competitive from I like to be competitive when I am a provider of something.
Mhm.
I don't like to compete as a consumer of something. Does that make sense? So
In what way?
as a consumer or as a I
Are we
don't know.
talking
I don't
about
know.
relationships and like products and
I'm
like,
talking about everything. I'm talking about everything. So let's limit it down.
yeah, it's hard to scope on a mass scale for that
Please.
type of a conversation
Yeah.
because each answer could be individually different.
So dating wise, I personally feel like I know what I like, I'm confident with what I like, and I've narrowed it down to be extremely specific so it's easy on myself. And I feel like a lot of people don't even know what they want. So it's really difficult when you don't know what you want to choose out of millions of options, okay? Millions of combinations. But when I'm, say, a provider or when I'm looking for somebody, I don't mind having that competitive edge because it brings out really good qualities and good sides in you. It makes you stronger as a person to have to, okay, all right, I'm going to have to go to the gym. I'm going to have to commit myself because these men are seeing really great options. Okay, I have to commit myself to taking certain measures to improve myself, to make myself the best viable candidate. But like we were saying, in social media's day and age, everybody looks like a viable candidate, but that's because that's them maintaining their image of being the viable candidate. But
Yeah.
are they putting in the physical actual work?
Because that's on the surface evidence, but you don't really know what's going on in the back scenes, behind the scenes. But basically, that's how I perceive the dating scene as well for, guys and girls. Most people, there's just too many options. And as guys, we need to walk in abundance, which means you got to act like or really live the life of that you have options. Most guys in this day and age live in this scarcity mindset where they just don't have a lot of options or resources to even do anything. Like they're either too broke to even like get any type of food item they want in the grocery store, or just to go to that nice restaurant that's like $20 to $50 a plate, which is still expensive in my opinion. That's kind of a lot.
Oh, yeah,
But
of course.
yeah.
Of course, and there's so many things. So here's a solution that I would propose. My solution in my mind for this is that younger women in their early 20s should find a man who's in his 30s or possibly older.
Mhm.
Somebody who can, take you on your dates and financially do right by you.
Mhm.
Okay?
Yes.
And be a provider and, embody the masculine energy. And they had all that time to kind of figure out dating, figure things out, have their fun, meet your other partners, do your thing for a while, and get into your career and settle down a little bit more. And that's the time when you're looking to maybe find a girl that you want to spend the rest of your life with. A lot of men in their 20s aren't thinking like that. And even if you do have the money, you're definitely not going to be thinking like that in your 20s. I almost feel like it's more constructive for men to spend their 20s, their early 20s, figuring yourself out, taking some psychology classes, maybe going to therapy, maybe figuring out I'm not a
Yeah,
huge supporter
yeah,
of
go
therapy.
ahead. Just keep talking. Just keep talking. Yeah, my bad.
Maybe figuring out what's going on in that pretty little mind of theirs. Same with women. I do think you should do that, but haven't we always used the expression that, oh, women are far more mentally developed quicker at an earlier age?
Mhm.
You hear that quite a bit where it's like, oh, he's just mentally immature, men mature later in life.
Well, there's actually studies and scientific proven papers about that, where like the actual brain development between a man and a woman, women literally just grow faster compared to males. So I
Yeah.
will admit to that. So
Yeah. So I do believe that to a certain extent, but
okay.
even more so, I think it's like an egregore, okay? The more that people are believing that that is true, that men are
Mm.
mentally stunted for longer
Mhm.
and takes longer for men to develop mentally, if society is believing that, then everybody's just going to act like that. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I guess per se. I mean, these are just studies that are correlative or just like
Oh, yeah, no,
most.
I'm not talking about
It's not
studies.
true most of the time, as you
Talking
said.
about, I'm
Yeah.
just talking about the expression, like the
Okay.
expression of, at least in American culture, it's just like, oh, yeah, men just develop later. Oh, it happens later in life. Oh, a girl's brain is fully developed by this age and men are developed by the anyway. But I just think it makes sense for older men to pursue what they're actually looking for and younger women to understand that, but for younger women to be open to dating older men. It's really funny the amount of women I talk to who are like not at all open to having a relationship with somebody older, or it's like something taboo. It's weird. An age gap is taboo, and it's seen by a lot of feminists and women as well as being, you know, kind of disgusting or raunchy. And that's wrong to me. That's weird.
Hmm. So, for example, the age gap be like 5 to 10 year difference, or where's
Yeah,
that?
I would say maybe 8 to 8 plus, 7 to 8 plus.
That's considered older.
So, yeah, I would say for women, if you're in your 20s, he would maybe be late 20s or 30s or some, I just personally think for everybody it's different because I think that everybody's on a different timeline. So it's for sure not going to be the same age gap for everybody. I do think it should be at least minimum maybe 4 or 5 years. Um, just so that he kind of has time to develop himself as a person. I think that everybody needs time in their life when you're by yourself to develop your own personality.
Got you, got you. All right, we got to wrap up pretty soon, Hannah. So, final thoughts on this. If you were to have children and you had a daughter, Hannah, what would your advice be to her for dating? And she's like 13 to 14, starting to come up, into womanhood as she turns into a teen.
There's a lot of these.
Yeah, you can give a safe answer. You can give, the harsh truth, whatever you feel comfortable with.
I don't know. I have to think of it nicely and I have to think of a way that I would put it, maybe.
Really now? Oh, this is a little challenging for you, is it, Hannah?
It is. Yeah.
Hmm. Can you explain why, actually, before you get to your answer?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. This is really hard to answer, to be honest, because I don't want to perpetuate to my daughter a narrative, oh, men ain't shit. I don't want to perpetuate narratives of like, oh, you don't need a man. You don't need a man, but I don't want to perpetuate this narrative that like men aren't useful, they're not helpful, you can't trust a man in your life. I don't want to do any of that. So I need to take a second and think about my answer, because it has like a big impact.
Well, I think that's partially part of your answer that you're leading towards too. And I do like that because individualism within a child that's developing definitely helps with the psyche and how they grow in the future. So that's really thoughtful of you, Hannah. That's really cool, actually, if you were to be a parent.
Yeah, if I was to be a parent or even just talking to my past self, it's really hard because there's a lot of things to consider and children are very impressionable and you wouldn't want them to make horrible mistakes or form ideas that they'll later regret. My whole thing is, okay, me as a parent, I don't want to imprint myself on my child, and I don't want to make them believe things that I believe. I just want them to kind of have space to figure things out on their own while also being guided. But I don't want to tell anybody preconceived ideas from my own life. I don't think that's fair.
Well, frame it like this. This is advice. You're not telling her what to do, as you said. It's like you're not telling her, men ain't shit or you have to get married. These aren't dogmatic rules. So,
Right. I would say just be yourself and oh my God, that sounds so.
I'm keeping that, by the way. I really want to keep that. I'm keeping that.
By the way, people who have Down syndrome should not be called it ever and should never have been. So that's why it's okay for me to use the word. But no, okay, so I would tell her, don't be afraid to talk back to men. Don't think that everybody who's older than you knows what they're doing, because they don't. Don't let people tell you what to think, and don't believe people about, and don't believe rumors that other people spread. Always find evidence for yourself.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
what.
Yeah, no, this definitely applies to dating, not just dating, it's just people in general. So that's pretty good. Pretty good answer.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. All right, guys, thank you. for watching the Jolius podcast. We're here with the lovely Hannah Hunt.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for being on. Do you have any final words you wanted to say to my audience?
Thank you guys for watching. We both appreciate it. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. It is Hunt for Hannah. And I don't know, put some comments down below on anything that you have questions about, and we'll bring it up on the next pod.
Yeah, for sure. You know, all these guys are going to stalk you and ask these really weird questions all of a sudden. So that's going to be great, Hannah.
Oh, I am all for weird questions. Bring them.
For sure, for sure. All right, guys, this is the Jolius podcast. Guest with Hannah Hunt. We are signing off. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you in the next one.